I'm a lawyer. A man walked into my office and said, I want to hire you to sue myself. I told him that's impossible. He smiled and said, it's not, and it's the only way to save my family. Last spring, a business owner walked into my office and made a request I had never heard in 19 years of practice. I want to hire you to sue myself. I set down my pen. I told him, politely, that self-litigation is legally impossible. A lawsuit requires adverse parties. A person cannot be both plaintiff and defendant. He smiled. He had been expecting the objection. I know, but I am the sole owner of an LLC. I want to sue my corporate entity as an individual. The LLC is a distinct legal person. I am a separate individual. Two parties. Legally adverse. Fully actionable. I stopped speaking because technically, structurally, procedurally, legally, he was correct. An LLC is a distinct legal entity under state law. Its sole owner can file a legitimate civil claim against it if the underlying dispute is real. I asked him why. He laid out the math of a man who had spent 35 years building something and 3 years watching it approach a cliff. He owned a construction company, $4.2 million in annual revenue, profitable, well-run, 35 years of client relationships and institutional expertise. His life's work. He had 2 adult sons working in the company, both expected to inherit everything. Both were, in his own precise, unemotional assessment, incompetent, not malicious, not stupid, arrogant, ego-driven, the kind of men who believed they knew more than they did and would not take counsel from anyone who worked for them. He estimated they would bankrupt the company within 5 years of his death, maybe 3. He could not disinherit them. His wife refused to entertain the idea. She loved her sons. She believed time would mature them. He disagreed, but he loved her, and the marriage was not a battlefield he was willing to open. So he engineered a different solution. Over the years, he had personally loaned his company $340,000 in documented, unreimbursed cash infusions, short-term capital during slow quarters, bridge loans between contracts, every transaction properly papered. The LLC legitimately owed him that money. He had a real, legally enforceable claim against his own corporate entity. He did not want the $340,000. He wanted the lawsuit. The lawsuit was the vehicle. The settlement was the actual strategy. I took the case. I filed a breach of contract claim against his LLC on his behalf. To maintain procedural integrity, the LLC retained independent defense counsel, a separate attorney selected through arm's length referral. We litigated, genuinely. Briefs filed. Discovery conducted. Depositions scheduled. Then we settled. As sole owner of the LLC, he directed his company to settle the lawsuit by transferring $3.8 million of its liquid assets into an irrevocable court-supervised trust. The settlement was reviewed by a judge, approved, filed, sealed in public record. The trust terms were ironclad. The corpus could not be liquidated, could not be collateralized, could not be distributed as a lump sum under any circumstance. The principal remained locked in perpetuity. Only annual trust income could be distributed to his heirs. His sons were named beneficiaries. So was his wife. The trap snapped shut. His sons now receive a guaranteed $140,000 each per year for life from trust distributions. Comfortable, secure, unending. The construction company continued operating under a succession plan he designed. A professional CEO, recruited externally, took operational control upon his death. The sons retained jobs at the company in limited operational roles with strict oversight. Income for life. Zero power to destroy what their father built. His wife was satisfied. The boys were provided for. The sons were initially furious. They understood in some partial way that they had been structurally contained, but they could not challenge the trust. The legal architecture was unassailable. He passed away 3 years later. Cancer. Quick. I attended the funeral out of professional respect. The 2 sons delivered the eulogy together. They cried. They told stories about their father, the man who built the company, the man who was difficult and exacting and impossibly demanding, and in his final years, impossibly patient. Near the end, the older son paused and spoke directly to the casket. Thank you for knowing us better than we knew ourselves.